Hey guys, my name is Maddie and I'm mad about art. And today we're discussing the basics of drawing and painting eyes. So I think one of the most important things to remember when you're drawing an eye is the actual eyeball that lies underneath the surface of the eyelid. And I think that's something very important to consider to make sure that your eye does not look weirdly shaped and so that it looks like there's some sort of depth to it, right? And it's not just flat. So I'm going to start by just kind of generally drawing the circle part of the eye, or the eyeball that is. That's a good eyeball shape. Doesn't really matter, just need to be generally circular. The other important things you want to know are the inner corner of the eye and the outer corner of the eye. So we're gonna just kind of generally sketch where the inner and outer corner of the eye are. And depending on the person, your eyes may be kind of upturned, downturned. So it really depends on whomever you're drawing where these different points lie. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect them and start drawing this upper lid. And then I'm gonna start kind of sketching out where this bottom lid lies. All right, now that we have that, I'm gonna start drawing the top of this top lid. And again, this differs depending on who you're drawing, whether people's eyes are more inset or not. Something that is really important about drawing eyes is that your whole iris, that colored part in your eye, the whole thing is almost never visible unless someone is like shocked, like, oh, that's pretty much the only time you see the whole circle of the eye. So I would try to make sure you're not drawing a whole circle. Otherwise, it's just gonna look off. So you see the top of this one gets cut off. Something I found that really adds a level of depth to when I'm drawing eyes is making sure to include the waterline. So that's this line right here. And don't forget about this highlight that we have in the eye, because that's gonna definitely bring a lot of life to your eyes and make sure they don't look, well, lifeless. And the thing about eyelashes too is that a lot of times they kind of crisscross and overlap. They're not just perfectly like doot 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 doot. They clump together, especially if it's a woman and she's wearing mascara. And then a lot of times these eyelashes in the beginning of the eye tend to curl downward until they start doing this curling upward. This isn't necessarily something I do when I'm drawing because I'm not trying to go for a super realistic, but for the purpose of showing you how to draw an eye, I'm gonna go a little bit more on the realistic side. I'm just adding some kind of haphazardly because eyelashes aren't perfect. So don't worry too much about, getting them perfect. That is a pretty decent sketch, if I say so myself. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna color it. All right. So one thing about the eye, the whites of the eye, are never totally white. There's always some sort of color to them, whether that be a little bit yellowish, brownish, or bluish. So I just kind of do a mixing of browns and blues and grays. Now I'm mixing up a bit of a darker color, and that's going to be the shadow on the top of the eye. And this is something I didn't always do, and I found that when I started doing it, it really added a lot of, say it with me, depth to the eye. So I always make sure to add a little bit of shadow into the corners of the eye and the top of the eye. That definitely makes it look more round and less flat. And right now what I'm doing is I'm doing wet on wet, so I'm mixing it while it's wet so it blends very softly. Your eye is round, it's soft, we don't want any harsh edges until we start getting to this colored part of the eye. Ooh. We'll fix that later. We'll add some pinks and reds, and there's gonna be some pink on this corner. Don't forget, everyone does have under eye circles, a little bit of purplish hue under the eye. So I'm going for a more realistic look. I'll be sure to add that. All right, and now because I want the center part to be a, oh gosh, what is happening here? I want the center part to be a sharp circle. I don't want it feathering out, so I'm going to dry it before I add the black. Here we go. I'm going to take a smaller paintbrush and go ahead and draw the center of the eye. And I find a lot of people tend to have a darker outline around their iris, so I always like to go ahead and do that. think I was afraid to do for a long time was add too much color to paintings. And I found that when I've just kind of exaggerated even the color a little bit, it's kind of helped me understand, well, the color better. So now I'm going in with a white gel pen to add the final highlights. So I'm definitely going to go in, and of course this pen is not working how I want it to. Alright, here's the final result. And there you have it. There's some of the basics of drawing an eye, from shape to color.